everyone, it's Elizabeth from Alpus Astrology at alpusastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the June 2022 astrological forecast for the month. I'm going to do an intro that will be the same for all signs and ascendants. And then towards the end of the video, I will actually go into your individual sign or ascendant. As usual, I prefer you to read first for or listen to your ascendant sign. That tells you what area of your life will be affected. And then you then should listen to your sun sign as well, because that just gives you a little bit more detail of what may be coming up for you in this month of June. All right, so we're going to start off with the 3rd of June. And the 3rd of June, we actually have Mercury retrograde that started in Gemini last month, now going direct, but it's going direct at 26 degrees of Taurus, which I thought was very interesting. So this whole Mercury retrograde has covered 2 signs. It's not totally unusual to have that happen, but you can imagine that Mercury is really more at home in Gemini. So when I saw this, as I looked at other aspects as well, and even though it's always positive to know that any planet, especially a Mercury retrograde, is going direct, but we're not out of the woods yet. So if you've been having some issues with any kinds of communications at all, contract negotiations, and it still doesn't seem to be resolving at the beginning of June, once this Mercury retrograde has gone direct, don't despair. It will go forward for you. Now, the thing that goes with this whole Mercury retrograde going direct is that we've got a square to Saturn. So that's adding in, at its most positive, a Mercury going direct with a square Saturn basically says disciplined thinking, right? So it could have you really getting serious about thinking about whatever it is that you need to do and being able to take some action on it. But it can also have another side. Saturn can actually dampen things down as well. So it might also be on this day that you are seeing things more negatively. And again, that kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning here, that we're not quite out of the woods yet with regards to Mercury coming out of its shadow. So hang on in there for a little while when Mercury will come out of its shadow period and then go into Gemini, its home sign, and things get resolved, especially with regards to any kind of communications or breakdowns in communications. And that actually is going to be on the 19th of June, where Mercury will go direct at 4 degrees of Gemini. So look to that week, the week around the 19th, where things actually start to really improve. All right, so when we look at the 4th, the next day, again, Saturn is highlighted, but it's because Saturn is going to go retrograde, and it'll go retrograde at 25 degrees of Aquarius. So this is going to be an influence of a few months. And I would say that with this whole Saturn going retrograde, it's really going to have, I would say, people in authority, institutions, that kind of thing, kind of staying in the background more instead of like laying down the law. This is more like, let's write some laws or let's rethink some of these things. So I see that as a positive thing with this Saturn retrograde. Now, if you do have anything around the 25 degree mark of Aquarius, you may have some kind of delay that happens unexpectedly where someone, maybe in authority, steps in and says, well, wait a minute here, you're not following the rules. You're going to have to do this, this, and this. So I guess knowing the heads up on that, I'm making this video I'm making this video on the weekend of the total eclipse in Scorpio. So you've got a heads up on that. If you are, putting together some plans, whatever, say you're, I don't know, building something or adding to a home, that you've got to get special approval from City Hall on that. So it's that type of thing I'm talking about occurring with this Saturn going retrograde. Yeah. Okay, so we have our first full moon on the 14th of this month, and it's a full moon at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, 25 minutes. It is at 4:51 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We have Mercury going direct, and it will be at 0 degrees of Gemini. So I thought that was interesting too. Anything that's at 0 degrees or 29 degrees of any sign are called critical degrees. So this does speak to some kind of communication. And because it's in Gemini, this could be the sort of foreshadowing of things resolving in that whole communication sector that will really take place around the 19th of this month. Now the moon in Sagittarius will be squaring Neptune, that is in Pisces. So this can bring in some illusions. Neptune also likes to dissolve things. So it would be a good time if you do have to get rid of some bad habits, like you're drinking too much or eating too much, that you can more easily do that, even though it's a square, but it'll certainly highlight this sort of thing where you've got bad habits potentially, and ask you to resolve some of them. We've got also the moon, though, will be sextiling a retrograde Saturn. So I saw this as positive, for sure, where maybe you are trying to resolve some bad habits of some sort, and or risk-taking as well. I mean, Sagittarius also can be a risk-taker. So with that square, it's saying maybe hold off on taking any risks to make your dreams come true, to make a wish come true. Something kind of like that's out there that you can't reach or can't quite hold on to. You're going to want to make it real with the Saturn involved here by sextile. Now you may get an opportunity because sextiles are opportunities, but because we've got that square happening there as well, it could just be that for some of us, that dream that you have, that wish that you want to make true, that vision that you have for yourself in the future, kind of seems to have a few clouds in it. But don't despair about that. This is just a temporary thing. And this is not an eclipse. It's just a full moon. It's going to bring something to light. However, this full moon harks back to another time when we did have a total new moon eclipse. And that was on the 14th of December, 2020. So I would say a useful way of using this full moon or utilizing this full moon energy is to look back and ask yourself what was happening around December 2020 that was new, that started new, and it was a total new moon eclipse. So this would have been a significant time, especially for Sagittarians and for the opposite sign, Geminis. This full moon brings things now to a conclusion and asks you, how are things going since you had that new start? So for Sagittarians, I would say that this is a time of reckoning is kind of the word that I'm coming up with, where some Sagittarians may have to look at that new start that they made in December 2020 or maybe January 2021 and ask themselves, is this working? Was this a little bit of an illusion? Because we've got Neptune now sitting on the full moon in Sagittarius. Or is this something that can become real, bringing the Saturn in, and I can get opportunities to make this more permanent? So Saturn is also about enduring effects as well. Okay, so the next thing we have is on the 17th. We have lovely Venus, lovely, charming, sweet Venus, who's described as the lesser benefic, is going to be conjuncting the north nodes in Taurus, 22 degrees. So if you've got anything around 22 degrees, or say your own north nodes are at 22 degrees, this could bring in love, money, or at least an increased value of yourself. Just a really positive effect, basically. It can stand for women as well, where maybe in the collective, we see a woman or women being brought into the news favorably. Maybe that whole thing, Roe versus Wade, actually gets resolved in a positive way for women. Okay, I want to go back to that full moon again in Sagittarius. I don't always look up the Sabian symbols. And Sabian symbols basically is a book that has every single degree of the signs, the astrological signs, and it gives you some information that could describe more what may happen at that time, whatever it is that you're looking at. So we always round up our degrees. So this we take up to 24 degrees of Sagittarius. And the Sabian symbol is beautiful. It's a bluebird perched on the gate of a cottage. I mean, just that image conjures up this lovely, warm feeling. It maybe makes us a little sentimental as well. But the blue bird is really a symbol of happiness. And then sitting on the gate of a cottage kind of reflects a well-adapted society. So that type of energy, and certainly the description that they use in the Sabian symbol, I think is something that we should bear in mind, that although there may be a few challenges at this full moon, the end goal will be a lot of happiness that will result of this. I mean, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter, of course, is the greater benefic. And it is like Santa Claus. It just wants to bring you gifts in the end. Might have to work for those gifts a bit, that's all. Okay, so this year we have the summer solstice that will be on the 21st, and I include a chart. So some astrologers take this as a whole 6-month effect. I tend to take it as more like a seasonal effect, so it's like a 3-month, 4-month effect here, till we have an equinox happening, and then the energies shift again. So it really is a major shift of energy. And in particular, we like to look at both the sun we already know is going to be at 0 degrees of Cancer, but then we look at the other planets, and in particular the moon. And so this year at the summer solstice on the 21st, we have a moon at 3 degrees of Aries. And so this says to me that the mood of the people, so the moon can represent the people, the mood of the people, is going to be very action-oriented. It can even be militaristic. So this can represent the military because Mars actually rules Aries. But it's also going to have a lot of people want to get on their own individual path, do things their way, and be emotionally more assertive and forward with regards to what they want. And like I said, I take this as covering an approximate 3-month period, the effects of this. So this will be all over the summer period. But it can give also, individuals a spotlight on them, right? So certainly for any Aries individuals, you could literally have a spotlight put on you for some reason, or asked to lead something. Aries is a cardinal sign, and that actually refers to a leader of some sort as well. All right, so the next thing that we have is we have the sun is going to be squaring this moon. And that is not a good thing at this summer solstice. I would say that there's going to be a discrepancy or an inharmonious type influence here between those in power and the people. So that's what I saw the sun in Cancer being, power. And in particular, it can be the homeland, right? Your homeland, exerting power over the people. And I mean, we're having that already happening in Shanghai and elsewhere in China. So that effect could represent, this transit here at the summer solstice, affect the whole period of the summer with regards to that type of thing, that the people being held in check here against their will. The other thing that we have too is we have Venus going to be trining Pluto. Well, this just spells out desire. I want to do something here. Now, a trine can pass by without any real effects because it's so pleasant, but it is a very positive aspect. So this could be our money markets maybe. So Venus can represent money. I saw this, probably our money markets could improve here. I know we've had a few dips happening, but this could actually see over the summer period an increase for some folks. So we have lots of Aries that's happening at this summer solstice. I've already mentioned the moon at 3 degrees, but we also have Jupiter at 6 degrees, and then we have Chiron at 16 degrees. And Mars, which is the ruler of this moon in Aries, is at 20 degrees. So it seems to me that I think there may still be a lot of, like as I said earlier, military type action, individuals standing up and literally taking a stand, that type of thing, an expansion of that, especially with Jupiter in there. Okay. Let's move on to a retrograde that's going to happen. We're going to have Neptune retrograde at 25 degrees of Pisces on the 28th of June. Now, what's interesting is this 25 degree of Pisces also was where, very close to, within minutes, of that whole Jupiter conjunct Neptune that happened mid-April this year. It actually covered a lot of the whole period of April, but the exact was mid-April. So this could bring, for all of us, another highlight about literally reconsidering, rethinking that great inspiration we had with regards to the dreams that we wanted to make true. It could just have us maybe, with Neptune going retrograde, have us just being a little more circumspect with regards to, did I think too big? Did I take too many steps all at once? Do I need to reconsider that inspiration that I had? And was there a piece maybe missing from the picture? Was there a bit of fogginess or unclearness that I now need to address and look at? So that's how I would use this Neptune retrograde period. It'll be for a number of months. I don't see this as a negative thing. I think it's just something where it's a readjustment of maybe for some folks, taking those rose-colored glasses off, right? And just looking more carefully. It doesn't mean don't give up on your dreams, that's for sure, or the wishes that you want to come true. This is a fabulous year for that, for everybody. Now, especially for Pisces, for sure, this is going to be influencing Pisces that, say, have a sun around 25 degrees, or those folks that have an ascendant. And it's going to be a reconsideration, like I said, I believe, of those dreams, wishes that you had and that you felt inspired by mid-April of this year. All right, so we kind of end the month here with a new moon. And the new moon is going to be in Cancer, 7 degrees of Cancer, 23 minutes, on the 29th. So happy New Year to all my Cancer ascendants and my Cancer sons, especially to my brother John, whose birthday is on the 10th of July. So here we have the moon and the sun together because it's a new moon in Cancer, but it's going to be squaring Jupiter in Aries. Now, it's pretty hard to get a bad aspect with Jupiter, and I really felt that this whole square actually was promoting positive thinking and a lot of us feeling very generous. We're going to be having Mercury here at 18 degrees of Gemini. Now it's going to be in conjunct to Uranus, that is in Taurus. So that's at 17 degrees. So it's a 17, 18 degrees in conjunct. And I really saw this as a round peg trying to be put into a square hole. So there might be a little bit of anger and frustration around this new moon. And of course, Cancer is a very emotional sign. It's the sign of the mother. It's the sign of the family. It's the homeland. But this is a new start. So I would say that if you do feel generous at this time, feel free to use that in some kind of compassionate way, because Cancer also does elicit compassion and that type of thing. And the other thing, too, that a lot of people don't mention is that, of course, Cancer is very intuitive. So there may be some intuitive hits that come up here, especially with that whole inconjunct that we have with the now direct Mercury still in Gemini. But there may be some surprises here with regards to communications, because it's Mercury that is in Gemini, right? Just be careful with the anger and the frustration. Try instead to funnel that into energy that is more compassionate. Maybe even doing something in the home, because, of course, Cancer represents the home too, your literal home. We have a really nice wide sextile with Pluto and Neptune. So this is nice too. This is a supportive aspect that goes back to that whole mid-April of the Neptune conjunct Jupiter, where our wishes, dreams, some of us did have magic and miracles happen, but certainly there would have been some kind of inspiration. This just is a supportive aspect of that, where you may get a little more power, in personal power, to make more opportunities for yourself to push that dream forward. Okay, so that really ties up, in a small way at least, my view of the astrology in June 2022. So I'm going to move on now next to the signs and the ascendants. So we're going to start off with you, Cancer baby, because it's very much the start of the Cancer birthday month. So when we look at this full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th, it is actually in your 6th house. So to me, this is suggesting that something either in your day-to-day activities, the job that you do, or your health is up for some kind of conclusion. Now, because it's Sagittarius and it's ruled by Jupiter, it really is asking us to kind of have a better view of the future here with regards to where do I want to go with regards to, say, the job that you do or how you're doing your job. Maybe you're going to be asked to do something different. It's a culmination with the full moon. Or you may make some decisions with regards to your health where you say, you know what, I've had enough of eating French fries and burgers. I need to change this up. Or I need to stop going home and just sitting in front of the TV. I need to get up and at least go out for a walk. So this could be health related as well, right? When we look at the new moon that is in Cancer on the 29th, this, of course, is going to be in your 1st house. This is like a whole new start for you, Cancer. And I would say that utilize this energy as best you can with regards to compassion. Going back to my description of that whole new moon and how we have Pluto sextiling Neptune, this could be a very supportive time for you. As long as you can think outside the box, you can change things around you, especially with regards to your home. Your mother may become more important for some reason. She may step in to actually facilitate something for you. That could happen for you as well. But it's a whole new start. When you've got something like a new moon, certainly if you've got it at, say, somewhere around 6, 7, or 8 degrees of Cancer, if you've got your sun there or your ascendant, this effect can be for about 6 months. And in the 1st house, it represents everything about you and everything around you. That's the best way to describe this. So it's a whole new start for you, Cancer. Enjoy. So next we have Leo. So Leo, you have this full moon in Sagittarius trining your sign. So this is giving you lots of positive energy. And it's actually in your 5th house. Which is like fabulous. This is, the 5th house represents a lot of things, but this I think could be some kind of culmination with regards to a love in your life. Children could be up for some reason. Maybe they're finishing off some schooling and they're going to leave the nest, or they're moving up to going to a university or into high school. That sort of thing can happen. It could also have you deciding to be your authentic self. Leo, as a sign, you rule the 5th house. So I would say that if you're not being your authentic self, there's probably going to be things come in, usually from the outside, to tap you on the shoulder or remind you you're not being your authentic self here, and maybe look more closely at how you can be authentic. It's also very, very creative, the 5th house. So you could be wrapping up some kind of creative project. And it doesn't mean that you've got to be painting something or drawing something, anything in the creative realm. Maybe a creative project of some sort comes to a conclusion after a lot of hard work. The 5th house is also the house of fame. So maybe for some, Leos who do love a bit of drama and like to be on the stage may have some conclusion here that is positive for you. You've actually got a new moon coming up too on the 28th of July. And I think that's going to be a significant new moon for all Leos. It's going to be at 5 degrees, so certainly if you've got something significant at 5 degrees, Leo, look to the end of July and August for some real new beginnings in your life. And maybe it's going to be as a result of you tying something up here at this full moon in the 5th house that you rule. Now, the new moon in Cancer is going to be in your 12th house. So the 12th house really is a house. I always view this house as the hidden sides of ourselves, those things that we kind of brush under the carpet and don't pay much attention to until someone comes along and reminds us. But it's also the house of rest. And I suspect for a lot of Leos that they're really going to have to take it easy over the summer period, so we're talking June, July, August period, where maybe you've been overdoing it, and you might have been overdoing it literally in your home. It's in the sign of Cancer. And so this may say, or to me, what it says is that I think you're going to have to take some rest in the home. But you could have also something coming up with your mother or something coming up literally in your home that needs to be addressed. And like I said, the 12th house is the hidden house as well. It could also have the 12th house rules hidden places like hospitals, prisons, ashrams. So it's not going to mean that you're going to have to go to those because something's wrong with you, but it may mean that you're going to have to go to those places for some other reason. That's the other thing. But it is the house of healing too, and that kind of nicely sort of pairs with that whole idea of rest. So healing and rest is my take of what this new moon in Cancer is for you, Leo. Take care of yourself. So for Virgos, now Virgo, this Sagittarius full moon is in your 4th house, which is positive, but you have a square happening here. So for some Virgos, there's going to be some maybe reorganizing, shifting around, thinking outside the box type thing in things to do with the home. It could be the home, the family, the mother. And because it's a square, it tells me that it's not going to be all easy, that you're going to have to maybe work a little bit at it. Now, your sign is the sign of service, right? So I'm getting an intuitive hit here that for some Virgos, just be careful not to overdo it and take all these things on because you feel you've got to service other people in the home. So I think you've got to be careful of that, especially with this square. Everybody has to participate, right? You're not supposed to be the one taking on all the duties in the home or all the duties in the home. That's not supposed to be your responsibility. And it's going to be brought into a highlight of some sort where you're going to have to resolve some issues. So look, I'm making this video early. You can think through what's happening in my home right now, or what do I foresee happening in my home, especially over the summer period, that maybe I can give a heads up in and start thinking, how can I resolve these issues without this having to be a big problem? Yeah, that's how I see this. This new moon that's going to be in Cancer is in the 11th house. I love the 11th house. So this could have you, when I saw this, I thought, wow, this could have some Virgos going back to visit some childhood friends. So the 11th house does rule friends and groups that you belong to. And because it's in Cancer, and Cancer kind of refers a lot of times to sentimental things. So I put this together of, oh, this could have you going back and rekindling some friendships, or maybe rekindling some groups that you used to belong to that you've maybe over this whole period of a few years where so many of us have really stayed home a lot, that you're actually going to get out more and enjoy yourself. It's also the house of wishes and dreams. So there could be some new spark here with regards to that area of your life too, where maybe something comes through for you that is a new beginning with regards to you seeing that, wow, maybe I can make this wish or dream come true for me. If that is the case for some Virgos, it may come through a friend or friends or through the groups that you belong. So again, there's this highlight of maybe some positive benefits for you with regards to the friends that you have, especially ones from the past, or the groups that you belong to. Maybe go back and check out those groups that you used to love going to, or the friends you used to love socializing with, and check in with them around this new moon. Have fun, Virgo. So for Libra, this full moon in Sagittarius is in your third house. So the third house is a house that rules a lot of things, mainly communications, but usually we refer to it also as short trips. And then when we look at Sagittarius, where this full moon is in, it refers to long distance trips. So when I put these two together, I thought, wow, this is going to be a time period where for some Librans, you're going to be doing not only a lot of short trips around your city and your neighborhood, but you're probably also going to be doing some kind of long trip. Perhaps a trip that you've been planning for a long time finally becomes real and you can actually take it. It rules foreign people, foreign things. Sagittarius also rules publishing. Third house, though, rules writing that thing that you publish. So this could have you, I think, because it's a full moon, for some Librans, finishing off some writing project. And it doesn't have to be a book or anything like that. It could be maybe some short courses, because that's also ruled by the third house, that you get tied up around this full moon in Sagittarius and on the 14th, and that you're able to publish it so that these two things go together, right? You wrap the project up that you've been writing, and you actually have a publisher there that's willing to publish it for you. And there may be a foreign connection here as well. That's how I saw this for you, Libra. Now, the third house also can rule siblings and neighbors. So there might be some reason that you have to say you've got some siblings that are at a distance, that you have to go visit them. You finally come to the conclusion that, all right, we've been communicating all along, but we need to meet each other too. And you put together some trip where you actually all get together maybe for a family reunion. That's the other thing that this could represent too. Now, the new moon that's going to be in Cancer is in your 10th house. And essentially the 10th house is really your house of career. It's long-term goals as well. But I just saw this as a whole brand new start for you with regards to your career and some positive effects that will come into play. Now, for some folks, it can mean, because Cancer rules the home, for some Librans, it could have you taking up this new career, new job, but that you're going to be doing it in your home, not actually in a workplace. So that could happen. But then the reverse can happen too, right? Where this new start means that you're going to have to leave the home behind. Maybe you've been working in the home, and now you're going to either have to get a new home, or get a new home because you're taking up a new job, or go back into the office. That can happen too. But this is a very positive new moon in Cancer for you, Libra. So good luck with the new job and new career. For Scorpio, well, Scorpio, you've just come off that total full moon eclipse that was in your sign. So hopefully you're not smarting too much, and hopefully you've had the courage to let go of a lot of things in your life that needed to be let go of, Scorpio. So when we look at this full moon in Sagittarius, which is in your second house, we're looking here at some ending with regards to the money that you make, your values, especially value of self, and also your possessions. So I would say that because Sagittarius rules things like foreign places and foreign things, as well as publishing, I really felt that for some Scorpios, this could have some Scorpios deciding that you're coming back maybe to a job that you used to do, The money that you earned, you've decided to leave. Maybe you've been dealing with some kind of foreign country. Maybe you've been living in a foreign country, and that's where you've been making your money. And you make a decision to wrap this all up, and I'm going back home. Because that would tie in really nicely with the following new moon in Cancer, which rules the home and the homeland. So I think for a lot of Scorpios, you're going to be ending something with regards to a foreign connection. Or maybe you've taken some kind of long trip overseas or done round the world travel, that type of thing. And you decide that you want to come back to your homeland. So that could be something up for you too. It's a real combo effect here. I'm going to cover the new moon in a minute, but they kind of play off each other with regards to that idea of you coming back, say, from a foreign land or working with a foreign connection and deciding that you want to now live back in the homeland that you were born in. But certainly there's some ending here with regards to the money that you make. It doesn't have to be a bad one. It could mean that because it's in Sagittarius and Jupiter rules Sagittarius, that you decide to end a job and that it's been difficult for you to do that because, of course, we've got that whole influence of Saturn still around retrograde, but that good luck comes your way as a result of it, right? And this may hark back to that whole total eclipse that happened in May for you, where you had a painful decision to make and you had to let go of something. Maybe what you had to let go of was this job that where you earned your money that wasn't serving you, that was causing you more angst. And then here rushes in Jupiter to the rescue. Jupiter ruling that full moon in Sagittarius and, giving you some benefits and goodies, not taking something away. Okay. So the new moon that's in Cancer, as I mentioned earlier in the video for you, is in your 9th house. So 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius and ruled by the planet Jupiter. So here's this whole connection in even with the new moon with regards to a foreign connection, foreign people, travel, that type of thing. And then because it's in Cancer, it's the home, it's the mother. So certainly there could be some kind of new start with your mother. Maybe your mother ends up herself doing something that affects you directly. I mean, you've got this south nodes of the moon, right, operating in your sign as well, which is also asking you to let things go. But this new moon in the 9th house could conversely have you deciding to get something published. The 9th house rules publishing. It can also have you deciding to take a trip. You could be going around the world. A wonderful new trip. Maybe this new trip is with your mom or with your family. That would be an awesome thing to do with this too, Scorpio, is to decide with your family, let's have some kind of reunion, but let's do it in a foreign place. But it could also have you wrapping up some kind of publishing that gives you a new start. But I think these whole full moons and new moons are definitely connected in with, even though the 9th house doesn't rule your money specifically, I think these moons are going to stop something for you with regards to the money that you make, and then some change up with regards to foreign people, but your homeland is going to give you a brand new start. And the 9th house also rules the law. So there may be some kind of law that you've got to pay attention to that gives you a new start in a positive way. Well, you're going to continue to have eclipses in your sign as well as opposite your sign in Taurus. So take lots of deep breaths and know, Scorpio, that all the changes that are happening, especially the ones that are happening at a psychological level, are going to leave you in a very, very positive place. So have confidence in that. Take care, Scorpio. All right, Sagittarius. Well, Sagittarius, this full moon, of course, is in your 1st house. Now, it's at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, so if you've got your ascendant or your sun or a conglomeration of planets around that 23 degree degree mark of Sagittarius, this whole effect can last 6 months to a year for you, right? So the full moon's a wrap-up. So you're going to be making some decision here, Sagittarius, with regards to some aspect of your life, and it's going to be tying back, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, to that total new moon eclipse that happened in December 2020. So what happened back there for you, Sagittarius? What new start did you initiate? Sagittarius rules things like foreign people, foreign places, publishing, the law, travel of any sort. Was there some kind of travel that you took? Or was there some new thing that you decided you wanted to work on, that you wanted to get published? This could be a dissertation, for instance, that you were working on, that you had a new start on in December 2020, that now you literally get published. So that could also happen for some Sagittarians here. It also rules higher learning. So it could be a number of things. It could have some Sagittarians deciding to take up that advanced degree and end maybe working in a job that you say, you know what, I want to do this advanced degree, a master's or a Ph.D. And that's the full moon where you apply and get accepted in a university setting to start this whole new chapter of your life with regards to your education. That can happen here as well. But whatever it is, it's a wrap up from whatever you started new back in December 2020. And because we have Sagittarius or Saturn here too, that's going to be turning retrograde or is retrograde around this time period of the full moon, there could be some reconsiderations. There could be an authority figure that steps in. Now, let's just say, for an example, that you are going to be going for an advanced degree, Sagittarius. This could just be someone that has the rules and the regulations asking you to submit something before they finally accept you into the university. For those that are publishing things, it could just have an authority figure saying, could you just do a little bit of rewriting here and then we'll get this published. Okay. Now, Sagittarius, when we look at the new moon that is in Cancer, this is in your 8th house. So the 8th house is mainly a house of money, but it's shared resources. It's loans. It's money that you get from other people. It's inheritances. It's also our psychological self as well. So it's a new beginning here. So this could be saying that you have a new stream of money, maybe through an inheritance that came in. You are able to leverage this money in some way, some positive way. Maybe you buy yourself a new home because it's in Cancer. Maybe you do something nice for your mother who's done so much for you in your life, Sagittarian. But it can also mean, because Cancer also ties back to the home, the family, and the habits, I saw a really nice way of using this, Sagittarius, is for you to take a look at your psychological self and ask yourself, can I maybe polish something up in there where I'm either more positive or shift something that may be holding you back? That's what I thought here as well. But this could just have you, for some Sagittarians, leveraging some money, maybe going for a loan, maybe a mortgage, to buy a new home. Because it's a new moon in Cancer, and Cancer rules the home. So for some Sagittarians, that's what you're going to do. It could also have you deciding to save some money, right? Because the 8th house is also saving money as opposed to spending it. You could have a loan or mortgage approved for yourself too. Now, the other thing, along with Gemini, you're going to have a direct hit of, well, the Mercury retrograde for sure was some kind of direct hit for you because the Mercury retrograde was opposite your sign. But you're going to have a Mars retrograde in Gemini also opposite your sign, and that's going to go from the end of October all the way through January next year. So that's in your opposite sign, right? So that's in your 7th house. And although this Mars retrograde isn't happening right now, I just want you to maybe look now at what potentially could get delayed for a partner that you have. Now, this could be a business partner, it could be clients, it could be a marriage partner, or some kind of delay, or there has to be some additional planning that's going to go on starting at the end of October through January. So I would, if I were you, just maybe check in with your partners or your clients, or try to do a plan B for the latter half of 2022 with regards to anything to do with partnerships or clients. Now, this could even tie back to people like lawyers, your financial advisor, anything like that, where you're going to have to go back and do some planning with that person or with those clients. At its most positive, if you do have clients, it could have you deciding that you're going to put some energy into planning a whole new way of dealing with your clients. That sort of thing too. It could have you reconsidering or considering a partnership, a business partnership in particular. But for some reason, if you do have a marriage partner, there's going to be something up with that marriage partner that's going to affect you directly, and it's going to be some kind of delay, and or at least reconsidering or planning something, that type of thing. All right, Sagittarius, take care of yourself. Okay, so for Capricorn, this full moon in Sagittarius that's happening on the 14th is going to happen in your 12th house. So the 12th house is basically referred to as a hidden house. It's the house of secrets. It's the house of self-undoing. It's hidden places like prisons, hospitals, ashrams, anything that's sort of hidden is aspected here. It's also the house of rest, where we decide we want to rest. It's a house of healing. It's also a house at its highest of magic and miracles too. But for you, because you've been hosting Pluto in your sign, now it's right towards the end. It'll still be at sort of 28, 29 degrees a little bit next year too. But even if it's past your sun or your ascendant, that Pluto has taken a lot out of Capricorns, and also some Cancers too. So the influence is still there. So I really thought for many Capricorns, this is a time when you say, I need to stop running around and doing everything for everybody. So the 12th house is ruled by Pisces, and Pisces can be a bit of a martyr. So to me, this says stop being a martyr and take the rest. If you need the rest, take the rest and let other people do things for you. That's what I got with this whole overlay of Pluto still in your sign, Capricorn. Now, it can, because it's in Sagittarius, it could have you delaying some travel. So maybe something's going to come up around the 14th this month where maybe you did make some travel plans, but now you're going to have to put those on the shelf for a period of time. That could happen. And this could also be with regards to publishing too, because publishing is also ruled by Sagittarius, where this full moon is. The other thing too, if you're involved in any kind of legal case, there could be some kind of something behind the scenes that's happening. So if you are involved in any kind of legal things, a Capricorn, and it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It is a full moon, so something will be brought to light. So if something's untoward has been going on in a legal case for you or some association with legal matters, it's going to come out at this time because this is a full moon. And because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, it's going to be for your benefit, right? So remember that this full moon is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter just wants to bring you benefits and good luck. So you might have some good luck with regards to some secret coming to light. So I'm getting that as an intuitive hit for Capricorns. But I think I also want to reinforce the fact that I think you should be getting some rest. And don't overdo the mind chatter, because this is the 12th house of sort of a real deep inner psychological self. Don't be so hard on yourself. Try to look at the bright side of maybe something that comes up or comes to light that hits you not in a very positive way. And put your feet up. That's what I would say. Put your feet up when you need it, right? And let other people bring you cups of tea or that glass of wine. So the new moon in Cancer is going to be in your 7th house. So the 7th house is all about partnerships and clients. It's the other. So anywhere you sign a contract with somebody is represented by the 7th house. So I would say here there's going to be some new beginning. Maybe you decide that you're going to, put together some kind of business partnership. And the business partnership may have something to do with Cancer-related things. So this can be food, for instance. It can be real estate or homes. It could be something to do with the mother or the family. But your partner could have something new happen in his or her life that directly affects you. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Maybe your partner tells you we're going to have to buy a new home because this is in Cancer and Cancer rules the home. Or maybe your partner says that his mother has to come and live with you. And maybe that's a real positive thing too. But it really is going to be focused around your partner. Some new thing that happens to your partner will directly impact you. Now, Cancer also refers to nurturing. So I'm also thinking by extension, you, Capricorn, may have to do some nurturing of your partner here. That may be up at this new moon at the end of June for you. So I guess it's a combination effect for you this month. It's knowing when to put your feet up, right? And to take it easy and get rest. But it's also being able to intuitively understand, you can be very intuitive at a Cancer new moon, when your partner needs some nurturing too. So it's a balanced month for you. When you need to do something for your partner and when you need to come back and say, I need to take a rest here. That's all the month of June for you as I see it, Capricorn. Now, as I mentioned, we have Pluto that is going to be at between 27 and 29 degrees of Capricorn. So for those Capricorns that either have a sun or for those folks that have an ascendant around here, you're still not away from the influence of Pluto. Pluto's all about transformation to get you where you need to be. And if you do have something like Pluto on your ascendant, know that it really is a once-in-a-lifetime effect, right? Pluto takes many years to go around the sun. It's around 247 years. So I guess in some ways, if you do have this as on your ascendant or on your sun, you're blessed in some ways to be transformed by the effects of Pluto just to bring you to a higher level, right? That really is the effect of Pluto. But whatever door closes with Pluto, it is firmly closed. It will never open again. So I guess that in a roundabout way says for all Capricorns, how whatever you've been transforming over these many years, since basically 2008, although it's coming to an end, you really will never be that same person that you were back in 2008. And that's not a negative thing. Take care, Capricorn. All right, Aquarius. So this full moon in Sagittarius on the 14th is in your 11th house. So Sagittarius is a very lucky sign. It's ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter likes to give you benefits and gifts. So it could be that you have some benefits and gifts come through friends and groups that you belong to. So don't ignore your friends and your groups, I guess. And I would say throughout June, not just on the 14th of the month. But certainly you could have some conclusion happening with regards to maybe some of your friends. Maybe some of your friends, maybe foreign friends, because Sagittarius does rule foreign places, foreign people. Maybe some conclusion's going to happen. It might be just a natural evolving thing. But some of your friends say, hey, we're going to have to go back to our homeland. Or you decide you have to leave. Maybe you've been living in a foreign country and you have to leave your foreign friends behind. And it's a natural conclusion. And although everybody's sad about it, because we've got the influence of Saturn, of course, around this full moon, it's still something that you need to do to move on. Now, the other thing that this rules too, of course, is your hopes and wishes, Aquarius. So Sagittarius here, ruled by Jupiter, could have some lucky thing come to light. So something may end for you, and then you turn around and you say, because of that ending, I can now fulfill this wish. So let's go back to the whole thing of your friends, your foreign friends that you either leave behind or they leave you, and you are for a moment sad about it. But then what happens as a result of maybe you going back to your homeland, you are able to fulfill some wish, make some wish come true for yourself. But certainly pay attention to the friends that you have, especially foreign connected friends, because they could bring in some real benefits and luck for you at this time, Aquarius. When we look at the new moon in Cancer, that's in your 6th house. Just on the surface, I see the 6th house as where you do your day-to-day job. If you don't work, this is the things that you do day to day, the habits that you have. They will be affected by a new beginning. It's in Cancer. So for some Aquarius, you're probably going to take up a new day-to-day job in your home because Cancer rules the home. You may even, some Aquarians, decide to work with your family as a new initiative, or maybe even your mother. But the direct connection I get here for some Aquarius is you're going to take up a new job in your home, or somehow your home is going to be involved with regards to your day-to-day job. For some Aquarians, you may decide that you, maybe back in mid-April, you wanted to make one of your dreams and wishes come true, and that was having your own business. And that own business is going to be now conducted in your home. The other thing is nurturing is very much associated with Cancer. And because the 6th house refers to health, generally speaking, I think for some Aquarians, this is you have to nurture yourself to have better health. Maybe some Aquarians are just working too darn hard or working many jobs at once, and you need to take care of yourself. I see this as a big intuitive hit here, that pay attention to nurturing yourself. So what can you do? So for some folks, start taking regular massages, get that pedicure, that sort of thing. Take that bubble bath. The other thing that you could do is literally nurture yourself through food, right? I mean, food is very much associated with Cancer. So for some Aquarians, you may decide that I'm going to change up the way I eat, and that would be a really good activity for you at this time. Now, you are hosting Saturn in your sign right now, and on the 4th of June, as I mentioned early in my video, we have Saturn going retrograde at 25 degrees. So certainly if you've got anything at 25 degrees of Aquarius, this Saturn could put a delay on something with regards to you. And this effect's going to be for a few months. It doesn't have to be a bad thing either. And this can also be for some Aquarians, because it's going to be in your 1st house. I'm now talking about the Saturn retrograde. It could have some authority figures, because Saturn represents authority figures, reconsider something. Maybe reconsider some law. That sort of thing could happen. And that could be a positive thing too, right? Because it's an Aquarius, Aquarius rules the airwaves too. And by extension, it could be anything to do with social media, right? Like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, anything like that. With Saturn in here, there could be something that, there could be some delays of some sort, or some stop put on. Maybe for some Aquarians, you can't use these different things for some reason because you're not following the rules, or you're required to follow the rules, or new rules are put in place that you have to pay attention to. Okay. Take care, Aquarius. When we look at Pisces, so Pisces, you've got this ongoing trend of Neptune continuing in your sign for the next few years. And at its most positive, this can bring in great intuition. It can help facilitate making dreams come true. On the negative side, Neptune can actually bring in fogginess or confusion in your thinking or confusion around you. So I would say that for Pisces, just know that Neptune will leave your sign. It's there to do some positive things too, to make your dreams come true for one thing, and for others to bring in true soulmates. But if you do have confused thinking, I would say that just know that going into some kind of meditative state is going to be an extremely positive thing for you. So if you still haven't taken up some meditation, Pisces, I'd highly recommend it for you. Don't feel that you have to be resistant to this. A meditation can be something as simple as going for a walk on your own, going for a walk on your own with your dog, going to the sea, going to the lake, going for a walk in the forest. That sort of thing is what I'm talking about. But regularly enter into that, because that'll bring up the positive aspects of this whole Neptune that will continue in your sign for the next few years. It's around 24, 25 degrees. All right, let's get to the full moon. So the full moon in Sagittarius is square your sign. It is in your 10th house. So on the surface, this just says there's going to be some challenge at work here in your career. Something's going to be come up to a conclusion. Now, for some Pisces, and namely, I've got one of my friends actually in Nashville, it may mean that she is going to give up her job, her corporate job, and that it's difficult for her, and that there's some challenges that she's got to overcome with regards to letting go of that career and entering into maybe a period of a completely different type of career, or just retiring. But this is what this brings in. If you are in a career right now, this could just bring up some challenge at your career, where you may have to deal with some aspects that are not so clear. Neptune here in Pisces is going to not make things clear for you, and it's also potentially going to dissolve some things. So that's the other thing that could happen for some Pisces, is that there's a dissolution that happens with some aspect of your career. It doesn't have to be a negative thing, but because it's a square, it's going to be something that you've got to deal with and think outside the box. This reminds me of when I was in the corporate world. I stayed for 15 years in one job. Ostensibly, it was one job, but it kept morphing because I kept being taken over by other companies. So that's the other kind of thing that could happen here too, that there's a takeover that happens in your company. And although you don't have to change your career, there's some challenges of new rules maybe that come in place that are a little confusing, and maybe confusing to everybody, but certainly maybe confusing to you because you're not sure how to handle it. I'm getting that as an intuitive hit too for some Pisces. Not the end of the world. As long as you think outside the box, Pisces, your career is going to be okay. So when we look at the new moon in Cancer, that's going to be trine your sign. So trines are positive, favorable energy. So I like it. The only thing about trines is that they can go by very quickly because they're so pleasant. This can also increase your intuition, your compassion, and it also can increase your inspiration. So it can be a very inspirational time for you, Pisces, towards the end of the month. It's going to be in your 5th house. So the 5th house represents a lot of things. Typically, for a lot of Pisces, this is going to be some kind of creative project you're given. Maybe one that you've wanted for some time that really makes you feel good and inspires you. It may have something to do with the home because it's Cancer. It could have to do with motherhood or mothers. For some Pisces, they may get pregnant at this time, for sure. Or children could become more important for some reason, or there's a new start. Maybe for some of your children, they'll have a new start in a new home. Maybe they buy their own home. But this is also the 5th house asking you to be your authentic self. And because it's tied in with the mother, with mothering, with nurturing, with your home, I would say that this new moon could give you opportunities to make your home more authentic with yourself. So that's kind of how I would use this, is to make your home as authentic to you as you can. For some Pisces, that's going to make sense. For others, you're just going to take on some great creative project that will just probably nurture you just as much as it is nurtured by you. Your mother may come into focus here for some reason. Yeah. Or your home. Now, the other thing you could have happened too is that a creative project is started in your home, right? Cancer representing the home. So you're not only given a new opportunity with a creative project, but that you can do it from your home. Or you could just start doing some new type of creative thing in your home. Maybe you decide to redecorate your home. That's also very Cancer related too. Right. Good luck, Pisces. For Aries, so Aries, this full moon in Sagittarius trines your sign very favorably, and it is in your 9th house. So for some Aries, this is going to be a time when you get to publish some of your work. For others, it may be you tying up an advanced degree where you publish your dissertation. For others, it may be the conclusion of some big travel trip. And for others, it might be a tie-up of some kind of legal case that's been around for a while, where you finally put it to bed, where it's concluded, where the decisions are made. And because it's in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, no doubt they will be in favor for you. So this tie-up, for some folks, will be a legal case that will work in your favor. But it could also be a decision time where you can actually see the future and you say, wow, I can see me taking that wonderful foreign trip that I've wanted to take. And you put all the pieces together around this time and really see that you can take this fabulous trip that you've wanted to go on, and it becomes a reality for you. And that everything is easy. It's a trine, right? So everything works together to make it happen. Now, it could be too that you have a connection with foreign people or foreign places that somehow come into the mix for you, and that you decide that either you've got to let go some aspect of a foreign connection, or that you need to incorporate this foreign idea or foreign people into your life at this time, that it becomes very important for you. I see also, because Sagittarius does talk about seeing into the future, it just could be a time where some Aries can actually see clearly what is going to be happening in the future for themselves, where they're going to be going. The 9th house also is, what we really want to do in this lifetime at a higher level. So it's that higher consciousness type thing. So you may be thinking of a legacy type thing. For some Aries, you want to leave this legacy. I mean, you're the cardinal sign that likes to lead. You're great leaders and managers. But you could also be deciding some aspects of your future that are related to your legacy. What do I really want to leave here? What do I want people to remember when I'm gone? That type of thinking could come in here too at this full moon. When we look at the new moon in Cancer, it squares your sign, Aries, and it's in your 4th house. So this says to me there's some discontent in the home, or discontent with family members, or discontent maybe with your mother. So you're going to have some resolution in the home happen. Now, because it's also the 4th house, because this is the new moon in Cancer, it's going to be some new beginning. So it could be that for some reason you've got to sell your home or sell a home. But because it squares your sign, this new beginning that you want to take has some challenges. So maybe you want to buy this new home, and there's a lot of people that want to buy that home too. And you're left with this challenge of, how do I get it? How do I be number one? All Aries like to be number one. So there's just this sort of idea of you got to think outside the box. Or maybe there's a new a new home that you've just bought. And you're starting to discover now that there's some things in the home that you've actually got to fix. I don't see this as the end of the world here. It just means that you're going to have to take the action. And you may not get much help with regards to, say, insurance and that. For some reason, you're going to have to handle this on your own. On the surface, this could have you having arguments, basically, in the home over the way things are done in the home. And it means that there has to be some new ways of caring. Cancer's a caring sign, a new way of you, Aries, of being more compassionate and more caring. Maybe you're being challenged by family members that say to you, you're just not caring enough. You're not compassionate enough. Maybe you're not doing enough in the home at its worst. Hopefully not. But if you aren't pulling your weight in the home, this new moon's going to highlight it, and you're going to have to get ship shape in the home. That's what this says to me. You're also hosting Chiron, and you're also hosting Jupiter also in your sign. So this is going to give, especially the Jupiter in Aries, that's going to just give you a cushion. So whatever things that might be negative towards the end of June for you that you've got to resolve, or challenges you've got to resolve, Jupiter's still going to give you a bit of a cushion there, and maybe throw a benefit your way. Maybe you're going to be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat at the last moment, and everybody will be amazed by what you can do. Take care, Aries. So Taurus, you know that you're hosting the north nodes of the moon, and you're also hosting Uranus. And Uranus is just about midpoint right now in Taurus. So there's 30 degrees in every sign. So this is kind of an interesting time period when we've got Uranus midpoint in a sign. So it says to me that there may be, for all Taurians, because you've got the influence of the north nodes of fate there too, some fateful things may be happening around this month of June. You've got the full moon in Sagittarius, which is going to be in your 8th house. So this says to me that there may be some secrets that come to light. You may have some far-reaching investments that you liquidate at this time. Maybe you put some money in investments years ago that you saw liquidating around this time for your benefit. Maybe you're going to be retiring. Some Taurians may be doing that. And the 8th house is where your pensions are, right? And or your 401ks that you decide, you know what, I'm going to leverage this. Or, I mean, for some Taurians, you may just feel, I need to take a big vacation. So Sagittarius full moon says, I want to travel to a foreign place. And that, you know, you cash in some of those stocks and just decide to do it. So have some fun, Taurus. But at the very least, if there are some secrets that come to light at this time, because it's Sagittarius, it's going to be for your benefit, for sure. I mean, the other thing too is the 8th house represents our psychological self. It also represents our sex life. So there could be some conclusion that happens in either of those areas. And certainly Sagittarius brings a lot of positiveness and hopefulness and optimism. So I would also say maybe for some Taurians, you're ending some kind of psychological therapy where you've really changed your inner mind to be more optimistic and positive, and it becomes a more permanent part of who you are. That would be awesome. So the new moon in Cancer is in your 3rd house. And this new moon in Cancer sextiles your sign. So to me, this is going to be giving you some positive opportunities to either communicate or have some positive dialogue with either your siblings or your neighbors or in your neighborhood. But certainly it's going to be bringing some kind of new nurturing way, compassionate way from you, Taurus, with regards to how you communicate with others. The 3rd house as an overall theme is communication. So perhaps what I spoke about earlier when I mentioned that the full moon in the 8th house and your psychological self becoming more positive, there may be an overflow that's positive that sets up a new beginning for you with regards to your communication style. And people comment on it. But there could be some new way that, I don't know why I keep thinking the sibling part of it, but maybe there's been some fallout with siblings and this new moon at the end of June, because of this new way of you being more positive, shifts the relationship and you start having these positive interactions with your siblings and things become more nurturing with regards to your siblings and maybe your neighbors too. But it can bring in a new commercial venture too. So sales and commerce are also ruled by the 3rd house. But it'll have something to do with nurturing the mother, the homeland, and literally the home. So perhaps there's some new venture that you're entering into here. You're being given an opportunity. Maybe it's even in real estate. It could be that as well, where you decide to get your real estate license and this is your new beginning. But you've got a lot of fateful things going on here with that new, with the north nodes here and then with Uranus. We've got some interesting stuff that's going to be happening where the north nodes will be conjuncting Uranus, but that's going to be in the summer, in August, and I'll cover that more in my video, but I'm just giving you a heads up here, Taurus, that August may be a truly fateful and remarkable month for you with regards to changing your destiny path. And especially for those folks that have their north nodes in Taurus, August is going to be a key month for doors closing firmly and big doors opening up for you. So that's something positive to keep in mind, Taurus and Taurus rising. Take care. All right, Gemini. So Gemini, you've got a lot of things that are happening. Well, we've just finished off, by the time this is official, Mercury will be out of shadow and out of retrograde, sort of out of shadow mid-June. And you really are probably going to have to wait to mid-June before if you're waiting for communications or decisions of any sort, Gemini, just have patience. Because that Mercury retrograde would have scrambled a lot of communications. And certainly for some folks that are listening to this before June, where we still have the Mercury retrograde happening in Gemini, especially for Geminis and the opposite side, Sagittarius, Gemini, there's going to be some confusion, unclearness. You thought you communicated something. You thought you sent that email, that letter. You were very clear, but for some reason, the letter didn't get there. The communication didn't get there. It was misunderstood. All that isn't really going to be cleared up till around the 19th of June. So just have patience and know that it will. Just present yourself as cooperative and willing to listen to the other side, right? That's what Gemini is all about. It's not about me. It's about I need to listen and cooperate with the other. You've got the Roman numeral 2 as your glyph. So that's two people here, right? Dialogue back and forth. All right, so I just wanted to mention that. And also that giving you the heads up that you're going to have a Mars retrograde literally at the end of October. But that Mars retrograde is going to go all the way through January 2023. So how can you utilize that Mars retrograde positively? And how can you think now in advance? Well, because it's in your sign, it's going to be your first house, right? Could even be your ascendant. So it says to me that if there's anything that you're doing with regards to, say, literally a communication plan, or putting together maybe some small courses, or even planning some short travel, I would say now in June, do a plan B. So allow for some extra time where you may have to, for whatever reason, and it might be you deciding you want to rewrite some of the things that you're writing or the courses that you're putting together, or the travel, the short distance travel you're doing. It might come from the outside where they say, you know, we don't quite want this, we want you to redo it. But know that you're going to have to do some planning or redoing of some sort towards the end of October through into January next year. And you personally are going to have to do that. It can also be a time of contract negotiations too. I actually don't see this Mars retrograde in Gemini as being really, really bad, as long as you make the effort, A, to be as clear as you can in any type of communication, and B, to always listen to the other. So I'm talking specifically to you, Gemini. You aren't going to go wrong with this. It's just going to be a planning and a little bit of tweaking during that Mars retrograde. But if you don't do that, this could be a time of inner anger. So I'm giving you the heads up that don't take that route. Instead, plan for delays of some sort with regards to whatever you're doing, probably to do with writing, putting together courses, or traveling short distances. Do a plan B. All right, enough said. Okay, so when we look at the new moon in Cancer, this new moon in Cancer is going to fall in your second house. So the second house is really a house of the money that you earn. So this just says to me that you're just going to be discovering new ways to make more money. That's what I think this is going to be for most Geminis. The other thing is, because it's a nurturing sign, Cancer, and because the second house also rules values, especially value of self, I would say for some Geminis, you're going to make this decision that not only do I want to nurture myself more, I'm going to require other people to be more nurturing for me and value me more. And that could have a direct hit with regards to the money that you make. You may decide that this isn't giving me enough to survive on, and you ask for a raise at this time. That could happen at the new moon at the end of the month. Now, let's go back to cover this full moon in Sagittarius, which happens earlier. That's going to happen on the 14th, the full moon in Sagittarius, at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. So you, like Sagittarius, are definitely going to have a direct hit of this. So you also have to cast your mind back to December of 2020, when we had that total eclipse in Sagittarius, and that was in your opposite sign, exactly where this full moon is, same degree, and that is your partnership house. So was there something that happened new, pretty significant, in December 2020 with regards to either your business partnership, your marriage partnership, or your clients, or anywhere where you sign a contract? So this could be a lawyer, a financial consultant, a business consultant, anything like that. Was there some kind of new major beginning in December 2020? Well, this is now coming to a conclusion at this full moon on the 14th of June in some way. But whatever way you cut it, it's going to be the partner or partnership that is somehow going to be culminating in some way. For some Geminis, it's going to be you ending a partnership of some sort. And maybe it's a business partnership where you decide, it's Sagittarius, it's not giving you benefits, A, and it's not far enough future oriented. That's also Sagittarius. But it could also have a partner saying to you, I'm going to end this partnership now. But conversely, it can also have something come in for you. Because Jupiter rules this full moon, there's going to be some luck and benefit associated with it. Mostly this is going to be culminations and endings, but there could be a lucky beginning for you here too, Gemini, with regards to some kind of business partnership. Look for the silver lining in anything negative that might come up at this full moon on the 14th of June, because you will benefit from it. Now, you may initially find whatever happens it to be challenging. That's okay. Just try to let that go and look at the positive side of it. That's the other thing that Jupiter and Sagittarius rule, are having positive outlook on it, because there will be a silver lining here for you, Gemini. All right, I'll just mention here too, because it's Gemini and we have the Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Know that Mercury retrograde in Gemini finishes its shadow period on the 19th. So I know I started with this, Gemini, but I just want to encourage you that even though you may be having frustration waiting for things to happen, waiting especially for some kind of communication, know that the 19th, when Mercury retrograde in Gemini is out of its shadow period, things will start moving forward. All right. Take care, Gemini. You got a pretty active year this year. Bye for now. All right, so that wraps up the month of June 2022. I want to thank everybody for listening in, commenting. I have so much fun listening to your comments and writing back and giving you. I've got lots of new clients that have come in from all over the world. I want to say hello to everybody that I've been doing Zoom astrology sessions on. I've had so much fun with all of you. I'm just going to give you a little bit of heads up on the July 2022. We have Mercury and Venus going into Cancer. So if you've got any placements in Cancer, that's bringing good news, potential love for some Cancers, and some money maybe too. We're going to have Mars in Taurus conjuncting the north nodes of the moon. So this is bringing some action with regards to, especially those folks that have north nodes binatally in their chart in Taurus, as well as conjuncting Uranus. So some surprise new start for some folks that are associated with that north nodes in Taurus. We'll have a full moon that's in Capricorn. So for Capricorns, there's going to be some wrap up for you. And we'll have a new moon in Leo that I have mentioned already in Leo's forecast. I see that as a bright, shining star. So Leos, if you're having any challenges, know that that new moon on the 28th of July, which I will cover in my July video, is going to be a super positive time for you. And for some folks, there might be some fame coming your way, Leo. All right, I'm going to leave it there. If you want your chart done, as per usual, all the details are below in the text box. I love hearing from everybody, and I love doing everyone's astrology. Take care, and we're going to see you next month. Bye for now.